Hi guys, welcome back. What I'm going to be doing today, I'm heading down in a cedar swamp. Comes off this hill up here. What I did, I found it on a map last week. Beyond this swamp, there is a creek going through here. It looks like a little marshy area that runs along the east side of this swamp. So I'm going to go down there and see what the future holds there for any kind of bucks that are living down that area, to be honest with you. What takes place here is that I came through the highlands first, and it looked like a diverse type of habitat up on the top part here. And what it looked like, it had a variety of poplar slashings. It had a natural opening. It had some oak stands. So it looked pretty good. Now what I wanted to do is go down into this cedar swamp right here. Now it looks like it's got some tamarack. Now hopefully there's some cedar down below there. But I got to head directly into there to get to that creek bottom. Because on that creek bottom, if you notice, it has a couple little inlets that came in there. And I want to see if I can find those in that area itself to see what it offers. Because some of these bucks, they like, well, you know yourself, they like laying down in that wet stuff. But this is a nice swamp here. And it goes right up, you could see it goes up into the highlands. And in fact, here's a trail, fresh trail. You know, a nice country, really nice country. I sort of like this. But I'm going to have to dive into that swamp. So, I tell you what, hold on to your hat. It's about close to 18 below right now. So, let's dive into that swamp and see what we got going, okay? See, this time of year, mid-February with about a foot of snow, they're heading down into these swamps, slow but sure. That's what I want to go check out. Let's see if other trails coming through here. We're going down. Whew. See this steep one? That's where we came up from. See, they're heading up on the top parts there. Let's go down this bottom and see what we got. Now there again, this also may be a trail for the summer. We don't know. We don't know. Because a lot of them stay down here. Now there's the sun coming up over there. So we're heading east. We're doing okay so far. Look at how they're browsing all this down. Oh, fresh. Look at this fresh bed right here. And that's fresh. They just laid in there. Well, I'll be darned. We're coming on top of some. Oh, yeah. They're staying in this area already. Look at this. Trails. We got to get up over that area. We got to get over that hill there. Keep going that way to find that creek bottom. That's my goal today, is find those two inlets off that stream. Yeah, fresh droppings right here. Oh, look at this. Another bed right here, right in front of me. Yeah, so what that's telling you right there, look at what they're doing. They're right on the edge of the swamp. They're not in deep yet, but they're on the edge. And then up they go to feed. They're just working their way towards the swamps now. Usually, but when it gets about a foot of snow, they start doing this. Boy, not bad. Beds. Not bad, eh? 10 minutes down the first hill, we already got all these beds. Holy crumbs. Look at this, guys. Look at over here. Boy, are they digging in now. See, they can stay nice and warm as the snow gets deep like this. They can stay right in there. Oh, boy. Not bad. First place you stop. It's encouraging. Now, I hope they stay here towards the next season. But look at how it comes alive on the edge of the swamp. See it all? Look at that. We're going to wrap around this and get over that hill, because if you could see back there, there's some daylight. So I got a hunch that could be that low stream that's coming through there. Look at this. See, they're starting to yard up, slow but sure. Beds. Geez, I bet you, what do we got? 10, 12 beds in this one little area. And we just got here. Nice when you go to an area you've never been to before. And you see this. Fantastic. All right, let's go up here. Let's go around this. See what we got. It's a little rough walking with snowshoes on like this, but I've got to do it. Now here's what you see when you come into the middle of a swamp and there's this ridge that you never can see on a map. Look at this knoll. There's tracks everywhere. Look at this. See, at least in the winter you can find these areas to come back and look at. Look at this knoll. I don't know if you can see it. And it drops back down into the deep swamp. See? Look at that. Pops right back up. Look at that. It just drops off again. Just one little knoll. And boy, are they hanging on it. They can see everything. Just little places like this attract these deer like you wouldn't believe. Now, see, this is good to remember come spring. There's tracks everywhere. Nice area. Nice area. Can't kick. Boy, I tell you. Okay, guys, we still got to keep going east over there to find that cricket. I see more daylight, so maybe we're getting close. Coming down off this knoll. I want you to take a look at something. Look at this trail. Coming down. Wow. She is steep, guys. Look at this coming down, going back into the swamp there. Wow. Look at that. See, and there's much. There's where we were. This steep, just one knoll. Look at that. And it tracks them like you wouldn't believe. Lay up there. Not seeing any rubs, anything like that yet. No sign of bucks yet. We'll see. Look at how they're feeding here. They feed on the lichens on those trees. They like that. You can see they're just standing around here feeding on it. They scrape it right off the trees. See that branch down there? They stand here and they just feed on that. That's what they're doing. Look at that, all over the place here. Look at this. It's getting thick in here now, guys. It's getting to be a jungle. It's a big jungle swamp, boy. Balsam spruce. Here, they've been bedded right here. This is really fresh. They're feeding on it lichens. Look at that. Look at that. Heading through. Yeah. Just kicked up a snowshoe rabbit, too. Maybe a little more daylight. We're going to head that way and see what happens. I think we found where they're yarding up for the winter so far. There is just tracks everywhere. The thicker we go. Everywhere. Look at this. Just pounded. And it's fresh. Bed trail. Oh my gosh. This is where they're yarding this winter. Look at this trail. Look at this. Holy criminy. So, what's that telling you guys? That's a good sign. Now, how many of these have traveled into here from a distance? I don't know. But by God, you come back this spring, and I'll start setting things out and checking it out pretty good, because it's going to hold some deer. In fact, look at this. We're just standing here. This rub. Now, I'll tell you what we're getting closer to the water, I bet. Towards that marshy area where that creek goes through, I bet. But look at this jungle that they're in. Holy crap. This is where they're at. But they're in here now with common sense for the winter. Let's take a look. Keep going. Okay, guys. Here's a little education for you. We're now transitioning into a cedar swamp. A blown out cedar. which is good. Now, you see where they're at. Now, see these young cedars? You don't see that too often. But you know why? It had a chance to grow back because the last several years, they weren't in these yards. They were able to get out, and it gave it time to grow. Look at it. See how they strip it right on down? They just love their cedar in the winter. That's when their main feed. Look at this. Okay? This is all lush stuff. This is going to really help them out. But boy, they're stripping it down. You don't see young growth of cedar too much. This is really nice to see. Look at how healthy it is. Just look at this plant. Look at this. That's beautiful feed for them. Oh, they got it nice. See, that's what happened. Now we're transitioning into that cedar. And they're in here. Look at this. Strip this down. Sort of interesting. You don't see too much of that. See all this young cedar? They got a lot of food in this swamp. It's a healthy, healthy cedar swamp. Look at these trails. You never would have believed it. But see, you can't tell this on a map. You got to get in here and see. I think we're getting closer to the water because I'm starting to see daylight over there. But boy, how to get back in here. You'd have to get on the edge of this. Because I'm sure on the other part of seasons, they're living in here. There's bucks in here. I know dang well there is. But they still got to get out and feed. So there's going to be a lot of homework here to take a look at this. Because there's deer here, no doubt about it. I'm showing you. All right, let's continue. I see daylight. It's getting closer. Look at the beds. Look at everywhere you see in this cedar swamp. There are beds. Look at it, it's just a community up. When they yard up, boy. But they got food. That was really good to see. That's why I came down here also to see what kind of food conditions are out there. And they got food in this one. No doubt about it. Here's a marsh. And I bet you 10-1 there's a creek out there. This is when I wanted to get here. I wanted to get here, guys, just to see what kind of action there is from bucks. If there's rubs on these elders, let's just see what's available out here. I mean, we got deer. That's a no-brainer. But what are the bucks doing? I'm looking around. We'll start looking for rubs and any sign that we can find. That's all you can do in the winter. We made it. We found it. But if you notice, not as much sign out here. They're not leaving themselves exposed to predators that much. Tamaracks. There's tamaracks out here. All tamaracks. The only conifer that loses its needles. There it is. I'll be dang. Now there's another. This is basically all it shows as an inlet right here. And it goes back and we'll see if we can find the other. There's another one upstream here a bit, according to the map. But I don't see much activity out here. Even as in the fall, I don't see any buck rubs. Not much in here. So it looks like they're back in that cedar swamp. And then they're going to the west up in the highlands for food. As far as they may come out here, obviously, to get a drink, and that's about it. Let's continue. Now this little opening has a little more cattails in it. So apparently it's a little more wet in the summer. But, oh crap, over the brush. Hang on, we're going through. Whoa. Okay. But nothing. I don't see any signs of buck work in these areas. I thought they'd be laying down in here. See, that's what sometimes it isn't what you think. You hike a mile back in and this is what you get. So, found that, didn't find much I was looking for here, so I got to go back into the swamp. They're working off that cedar swamp, I know they are. So they're back in farther. They're not hanging out here. All right, let's head back in, guys. Look at this. As I'm going back into the swamp, heading back to the west, here's one of those little feeder streams, just a little spring. And that baby empties into that main creek. So little did I know, here's their water. Here's their source of water. They don't have to go out in that creek for any kind of water. They got it right here. I'll be dang. Things you wouldn't know. So, actually, a guy can start from here. As I head west, remember, that's where I came from, up in that area where I started. So we're going to keep heading west again now to get out of here and see where they exit this swamp and go up into the highlands. Because now we got water right here. If I had an opening in the swamp, I love hunting down in these swamps itself, but I don't see any real opening, as you can see yourself. It's pretty thick, but as soon as I got in here, now I see tracks. I'm back on the west side where I started from. Okay? And if you notice, look at all the tracks. Look at these tracks. Trails, trails, trails. On the west side here, they're hitting it pretty hard. If you notice. So, when I come back here in the spring, I'll start looking on this west side because it goes up in the hills. And eventually, there you go, they're going to go up in the habitat up in there, the hardwoods, the oaks, the slash popple, whatever it may be at that point. But on that east side towards that creek, it was dead, if you noticed. And I went all the way around this swamp now, and I'm back on the west side where I started. And I noticed just like that, you pick up all kinds of trails. So actually, if I find a corner spot like I do right here, I'm going to put up a licking branch. I'll check it in a month or so. Let's see. Okay, on my way out, I noticed this little bottom right here, just before it goes up into the hills. This looks nice. I'll check this out in the spring. Here's the beds. Okay, I'm back actually to where I started. You see where I came in. So majority of deer are holding right here. I like that bottom right there before they go up into the hills. I'm going to check that out this spring. That looks pretty good. It runs all along there. See that little bottom? And remember, there's the big swamp that goes that way. So they're coming out. They're going to stage here if there is any. There's got to be bucks here if there's all these does. I'm assuming there's a lot of does here. I'll see. Okay, guys, you just set up a licking branch here. Just for kicks. You know, they're in this area. Let's see if we get any pictures. Maybe a buck's coming through here. Who knows? I still pour my juice. I don't care what month it is. I just pour it over. There you go. There you go. There you go. You know, we'll see what happens. All right. Well, it was good to go through a cedar swamp. Deer yard, basically, is what it is right now. I noticed one thing. It is natural instinct for them in the winter when they get a lot of snow and they go in these cedar swamps. They don't really want to come out and expose themselves to predators or what else is out there, to be honest with you. What they like to do is stay in there. They got enough cedar. If you notice, they're going to stay in. They're right on the edges here. I'm on the very edge of it, and that's as far as they're going. They may go up in the hills a little bit, but primarily they stay in that swamp. Instinct tells them to stay in there. It is safer for them, and they have all the cedar they want. They got their food that they can make it on. Now, here's the interesting thing that you may not realize. You saw all that young cedar. That's very rare to see because it takes a long time for cedar to take place and grow in that respect. But what does that tell me is the fact that, number one, we've had good winters where they didn't have to stay in there. They could get out on their own and feed. They didn't have to they'd go in there for thermal protection. But a winter like this where the snow is building, they're telling themselves to stay in there. Now the thing is, what if you had, here's the controversial point, what if you had an overpopulation of deer throughout the years? You wouldn't have that young cedar. And what takes place, I've been in those deer yards when they were starving. They'd be right in front of me starving to death because all the adults are feeding on all the cedar all the way up as far as they can reach on their haunches. There sits those yearlings, they can't reach it. And literally, they will die right there. Because just like now, you'll see, instinct tells them to stay in there. And that's what will take place when you have too many deer. They can starve to death in there. Fortunately, now this year, you got, just think of it, all that healthy food. You're going to have a healthy fawn production. You know, providing the winter doesn't get extreme yet through March. But the point is that look at how healthy they will be going into the spring because they have all that rich cedar sitting there looking at them because we're controlling it. And number two, they had a good winter or two to stay out of there to give this chance to grow up. That's fantastic what we saw. That's a sign of a good spring coming up. You got to look at the future. Now, as far as what the bucks are concerned, I didn't see much sign over there. I just didn't see it along that creekway where those springs were coming in. But on the edge here, I will pursue it from this point on in the spring to see what goes up into those hills. I know darn well they're down in there, but they're starting here, they're staging here, and they're going up. I would assume, but we'll have to check that and see. So that's all I wanted to show you. I just wanted you to go with me in through a cedar swamp, into a deer yard, and see what takes place right now. And actually, there was more than I thought. There's good sign of deer. I threw the slicking branch up. Let's just see what happens. See what's coming through here. Guys, thanks a lot for going with me on this little challenge here through the swamps, okay? Hey, take care. I'll see ya.